Yeah, good evening to all you good-looking gentlemen. This is probably one of the first times I've actually seen all your faces on the screen, because when I'm on my phone, it's normally the person talking, and that's about all I get to see. Tonight, we're going to be doing an interview with Shane. So Shane's my eldest boy, and he's had a pretty good journey. It's been a bit rough, a bit up and down every now and again, but through it all, he's made some pretty good decisions. So what we'll do is we're going to look at the last 5-6 years of his life. He's got a very large background, so in 20 minutes we would just get started and then end up being a quarter of the way through something and ending up with not too much at all. So Shane, 5-6 years ago, we spent a lot of time down at a damage. You know, what was that all about?
I probably reached a point where I had just separated and got into another relationship, and I was very confused, because very quickly I had another little boy coming along with my new partner, and at that time I was having a hell of a time with my ex. I was living in my parents' spare bedroom, and I was just thinking, you know, I'd gone from owning a house and everything else to all of a sudden felt nowhere, and it just felt like every time I opened my eyes, you know, the only peace I sort of felt like I had was when my eyes were shut and I was asleep. And yeah, it just, so many things happened so quickly, and I just don't think I could keep up with it all, to be quite honest with you, at the pace it was going. I had a lot of trouble, as I said, I had a lot of trouble with my ex at the time, with my son, with her, not seeing him, etc. So it was a real mental game between us, and it made it super hard, you know, with my relationship that I'd taken on that time as well. So yeah, you just felt like you were constantly trying to juggle and try to keep everyone happy, and super hard. And there was a couple of times when, well, there was one time in particular that I didn't really know I didn't know which way to turn. I think my only stability I had was my job at the time. But yeah, I mean, you know, I was sick. I went to a counsellor. I went to a few other things at the time, but at that time in particular, it felt very I didn't know how I was ever going to get out of anything. I felt very overwhelmed. So it wasn't until about a year after that, it had my little boy, Darcy, and Sammy, my partner, and I were living separately, and I decided to take on I started a membership in a group in a guys group, basically, to try and figure life out a little bit. Initially, it was about $5,000, I think it was, and initially I balked at it initially, but it was probably one of the best things I did, because it really challenged me in a lot of ways to look into what you wanted in life, to give up, you know, just to make yourself very conscious of actions, and what you reap what you sow, pretty much. And it's and when you have a group of guys all battling the same thing at the same time, I guess, to a point, all different situations, but it made you definitely try and get really honest with yourself, because you're only letting yourself down. So I guess fast forward on that a year or so, yeah, we've had another little boy since. We've got 2 little boys, Darcy and Sonny. We all live together. Life's totally changed, and I mean, I was probably at the point of I didn't know which way to turn, to where now I have a great little family, and yeah, I think it just shows that when I felt like there was no way I'd be where I could possibly be today, you know, from living in a spare bedroom of my parents when I was mid 40s, you know, having felt like I gave just about everything away. But it just shows that I think just good people around you, for one, good support, and really just trying to make some good decisions.
And in the midst of that time, you came back and you took yourself off Facebook and you dropped an awful lot of friends. Can you tell us why you did that?
Yeah, when I separated, I sort of took myself right out of my social setting, because I moved. I didn't immediately move out of where I lived, the area, but I moved out, and I sort of just laid quite low because I just didn't want to probably deal with people or keep explaining what I'm doing, etc. And I also dropped a lot of people off. Yeah, that's true, because what I found is a lot of these guys I knew since I was 18, and as much as they're nice sort of guys, they never grew up, and they're all still doing the same thing. You know, they're going to the pub and getting in fights every Friday night, etc. And you know, sitting around telling the same stories every day. And I just knew it wasn't for me. It was just a feeling inside me where I didn't think I was better than them in any way, but I felt like I was outgrowing. I guess it was meaningless to me, the conversations, and they sitting at the pubs, etc. all the time. So yeah, I guess my whole social circle changed about that time. I mean, if I see the guys, and there's no dramas, but it's not something I long for in any way, is to do what they do. So yeah.
Listen, we might go back because there's something that you did change a little bit earlier out of this time. You'd been a shed erector for many years, and I was in New Zealand, and you rang up and resigned. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I had my own shed deal for 20 odd years, I think, since I left school, pretty much. And I'd hated it for a while, you know, just the elements, the sun, just the same thing day after day. Much as it was good in a lot of respects, it was, yeah, it was a young man's game, and I was feeling a bit old, you know. And I just got jacked of it. And the old fellow was over in New Zealand visiting Granddad, his dad, at the time. This was about 2013, 2012, I think. And I just thought, you know what, I've always wanted to do something like this. And he was over there, and I rang up and said, what do you reckon, you know, if I'd come over while you're over there and we'll just hang out for a week. And it was probably one of the best weeks. I mean, besides his snoring, but it was it was probably one of the best weeks I'd had, honestly, because we just did boy stuff. You know, we camped on the lake edge and just drove lots of places without, you know, fear of girls not wanting to be here or be there, or we tried to catch a couple of fish and just were boys, you know. And it was something we'd never done. And yeah, that was probably one of the. It was a really, really good memory. I've been back to New Zealand once since that time, but it's definitely a memory I'll cherish for a long time. I got to see my granddad one more time before he passed. Yeah, but a lot of things changed. A lot of things happened from sort of that time on in my life. I guess I knew there was a little bit more than, you know, the drudgery of. I just always wanted more, I guess, and that ultimately led to a breakdown in the marriage as well. I wanted something different there as well, so it all just kept going. So, yeah. But anyway, that wasn't anything to do with the marriage breakdown. But yeah, no, it was just a really amazing time to hang out. We'd never done.
Moving a bit further on, so the course that you did with these guys, it gave you a bit of backbone to stand up for what's right.
Oh, 100%.
A little bit about that.
Absolutely did, because what they sort of reiterated so much was, if you can't, being a dad especially, I mean, if you can't stand up, I mean, we all make mistakes. I've got older boys as well, and you know, I'm sure there's times when I haven't been the best dad with them in circumstances, but I think it just gave me it just reinforced how much you've got to set an example as far as you want your kids to look up to you when they're older and go, oh, Dad stood up for this, Dad stood up for what was right. And they really focused heavily on just being very conscious of the way you clearly treat people. I mean, I still stuff up, I still get angry at the missus at times and maybe call the kids off. But I think it opened me up in a lot of ways where I could probably love the little boys, especially a little bit more, because and that's probably a lot to do with Sam too. Is the way, just to treat them like little ones and just to not be quite as hard. And I guess I've been a builder, etc., and been in the trades, and work as a carbo now, and it's a very male orientated sort of rough and ready, but little boys, and they need to be treated like little boys sometimes, and just not, they're not men yet, so we forget that. We forget that at times. So yeah, it definitely, and of course it was a 12-month thing, and it was something you had to every week get on, do this sort of thing, and say what you would do that week and stick to it, and it was quite good at sticking. Your self-discipline as well. So yeah, as far as it teaches you to follow through, I guess. Follow through with what you say you're going to do. Make yourself accountable. So yeah, it was well worth doing.
Was it before that or after that you were driving down D-Bay Road and had that thought we need to go back to McDonald's to see one of you, or you didn't even know it was going to be there? Remember that story?
Yeah. I got I had a fairly disconnected relationship with one of my sons. He was about 18 at the time. He's about 22 now. And I can't quite honestly remember whether I saw him there or I knew potentially he worked there or something like that. And I was driving and I thought, you know what, I'm going to turn around and be the bigger man out of this, because we hadn't seen each other for quite a while and it was kind of awkward. No contact. So yeah, rolled around and walked in, and a little bit weird, but at the same time it surprised him, I guess, that Dad went back and did that, and it opened up. It just sort of reignited and opened up a relationship that had broken down for quite a while and got quite silly, to be honest, quite out of hand the way it led. And he was just a boy being a teenage boy, a little bit stubborn, a little bit big-headed, probably like his father, but he probably saw a side of his dad that he was a little bit surprised about. So, and yeah, it completely changed that in that respect. So it's just, it feels weird, it feels awkward, it feels silly, but sometimes it's worth just swallowing that pride, I guess, in some respects.
So, at work, some of your mates, how many guys do you work with?
Well, I used to rove, which is when I go between all the stations at work, between all the sites. So there's 4 different sites in Brisbane. So anywhere between 40, 50 guys, but as of now, I only work with about 8. So yeah.
Now, your relationship with all of those guys, you didn't have an excellent relationship with them all, but you built some good trust with a few of the fellas. So talk a wee bit about how you built that trust.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think out of the 4 sites which I rove between for 5.5 years, I did that at there'd probably be between 1 and 2 out of every site. So what's that, 8, 10 guys, I guess, out of 50. And there's guys there who we all get along. There's no dramas with that, but it's just a work thing. But there's other guys that you click with, I guess, like-minded, same troubles with life, and they saw me go through a divorce, etc., and come out of it. And it's quite interesting how they then you know, they then will take you to the side, or, you know, just when we're in the crib room or whatever having smoke, they'll open up quite a bit, and it's incredible because they clearly trust me enough to know that I'm not going to just run here, there, and everywhere and tell them their dirty laundry, but they genuinely see you as someone, not so much as support, but somebody they can just spit it out with, I suppose, and maybe bounce back and forward a little bit, because I mean, I've been there, you know, like, and it's incredible just how many are in that same position, that either aren't happy, don't know how to fix things, or don't know how to get back into where they want to be with their partner or new partner. But it's so prevalent. It's incredible just how many people are not doing so great. And like I said, 8 out of 50 talk to me, but I'm sure there's a lot higher percentage at work that I don't, you know, have that level with. So yeah, I think people just need that ear, you know, someone to help guide them, or just listen. And you know, these big dudes and big scary dudes that people wouldn't think they would be soft and break down at times. It surprises me even, to be quite honest. So it's nice. People get a little bit vulnerable.
Now, we've been for a few rides with some of these blokes over the years. What would it be? 15, 16, thereabouts?
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty hard. Some of them are good value. And some of them will just be who they are.
Yeah.
But now, what do you do as a sideline? What are some of the things you've been up to in the last couple of years?
Well, I've always loved my old cars and Harleys, etc. So I think I bought and sold about 8 or 10 Harleys in the last year, I guess. And it's something that, it's not just I mean, there is a financial benefit in it, don't get me wrong, but it's something I do love, and it's something that almost lets me switch off, I guess, I don't see it as work, and I enjoy it. So it's a win-win for me. If I can make a few bucks here or a few bucks there, well, that's awesome. And I also love, what I really love is probably the chase of it, like chasing the bargain, I guess. That's something I've always loved, whether it be cars, bikes, whatever. And yeah, I mean, I get to own a few cool things, and I don't get attached to them when they're straight out the door. It doesn't affect me like that. But it's a good interest, I guess, because I mean, it keeps me home. I'm behaving, etc. And it's a genuine interest. It's not just something that I'm out to make a quick buck with. I have a passion, and I guess that's why I do okay with it. Yeah.
You're not out to rip everybody else off,
No,
so
no.
you just pass them on. Yeah. So, with everything that's been going on in the world right now, you've got a big change coming up.
Yeah, well, just with the craziness of the world, you know, like I think the mental health of this COVID, etc., is probably the real scary part, more than the virus itself. What's the fallout, you know, of the mental health, job losses, families separated, all sorts of things. So, I mean, the property market up where we are in Brisbane's doing pretty well. So we've always wanted to sort of sell up and ship off with the little boys to acreage, whether it be north or south. So we live in between like Northern Rivers, New South Wales to Cairns, basically. So we've got a lot of land to look for. Couple of reasons. The little boys, they don't do so well on a 400 square metre block, so that's what we're on now. They're climbing the fences. So it's something myself and Sammy have wanted to do for a few years now. So we're going to take the opportunity to do that, sell the house, and potentially, hopefully, do it debt-free. The shift, and that's probably one of the big benefits, is to be mortgage from doing it. Just to change our lifestyle. I just want the little boys to grow up in a little bit of a, you know, rural, bit of a nicer upbringing. I hope. But at the same time, we're finished renovating the house at the moment, getting painters through, and we're also renovating the fifth wheel we've bought to do everything in. So yeah, there's a fair bit going on at the moment. It's good. I'm busy.
It really does. So, one of the hardest dramas you've had to deal with is probably your eldest boy.
Oh yeah.
So that drama is going to be an ongoing. Tell the guys a wee bit about just the things you have to deal with.
Well, I mean, I don't deal with a whole lot of it at the moment now. Sort of getting to the age where he's his own man now. I've got my oldest son, he was born in 96, so he's 20, what's that, 25, 26. He's one of them boys, he's got a heart of gold, but he really, and I think that's the trouble, he's got a heart of gold, but he gets led astray very, very easily and always has. Sort of from early school even, he was always chasing the cool kid, no good. So he got himself into a bit of trouble. He actually did a bit of time about 2 years ago. Came out with behaving himself, had a little one with a lady, and that all turned pear-shaped. And when that sort of happened, he went straight back to old habits, you know. And you can see it in him. He knows it's not a good thing, and he knows he wants better. But at the same time, I don't know. I don't understand the draw of what he does as far as the addiction of what he does. But it must be incredible to keep him stuck where he is and maintaining this kind of gangster lifestyle. Yeah, which isn't great. So I mean, he's at that age where I can't do much more to worry about him, I guess. But he's also an adult, you know. But until you know, and if he turns up, we generally disagree because it seems to all be, you know, the parents' fault, etc. But he doesn't like being told to take accountability. You know, he's mid-20s, so we can only hope it gets better. But I don't know. You know, I've got another, his brother Hayden. He's mid-20s, 22, and same upbringing, same family, same school, same friends almost. And he's his dad living with baby's mum and their happy families, you know. So it's hard to figure out what's going on. Kids with the same upbringings, etc., but it can be polar opposites in where they are. It's bad.
I'm trusting that in the next couple of years you'll set yourselves and the whole picture will come around and you'll be a whole lot better and happier.
I mean, I'm pretty happy now, but I mean, life's pretty good. It's busy, but yeah, it's exciting, you know, like it's scary, daunting, because you're throwing everything up in the air as what you see as security. You know, I sold a lot of my material assets. Sold a beautiful 55 Chevy a few weeks ago, and that was, you know, but you know, they're just things. So if I can make a better life for our little family, I think it's well worth it. You know? So yeah, check this space in the air.
So Shane, I just want to say as a dad, you know, thank you for being who you are. We haven't always seen eye to eye on everything. We've had our moments, but that's what family's about.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just so good to be able to sit here and see you reflect to these other men, just some of the journey of the last 5 years of your life. It's been a big one. It's been a big one, and I think that's why it's sometimes so important to reflect on a little and not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Because it lets the guys know exactly where you are right now. You know, we all have a past, and hopefully we learn from that, but some of us don't. We keep making the same mistakes. But I can honestly say that you've moved forward.
Yeah, I think that's the key, isn't it? Like learning from the past. I mean, and I think that's the part where I can probably give my partner a heap of credit is she's very different to me in the fact she's very, very relaxed, but she's very good at keeping me in check with being mindful too. So yeah, makes a huge difference.
All right, Simon, guys, muchly appreciated. Thank you guys for sitting through it tonight, and we'll be back again another time.